I feel like to the Chevra, I was away last week in Eretz Yisrael, and I feel like I'm Parsha to Bal Chayv. I went to Eretz Yisrael, I owe to bring back, and I want to veer from our usual practice of studying the week's Parsha, and there's so much to study on Shemais. So with Siyata D'Shmaya, we'll have opportunities to study Shemais together. I really want to share, I want to bring back 3 tidbits from Eretz Yisrael. I want to share with you 3 experiences that I had in Eretz Yisrael that may be meaningful to you. It was meaningful to me. And I want to bring back a little bit of Eretz Yisrael to the Chevrish. So I want to share 3 things that I experienced in Eretz Yisrael. I bedafka want to share. I've spoken to some of the Chevra here already. I specifically want to share things that I don't know if I've shared with you in private. I want to share right now 3 Eretz Yisrael pieces that I was zeicha to of the different experiences in Eretz Yisrael. And the first one I want to share is like this. As a yeshiva, we were I was very moved that as a yeshiva we were having this gathering in Yerushalayim. And it's not easy to find a place for many, many people. A couple of hundred people, many bachrim. So they need to find sleeping arrangement. We needed a place to daven. And it's not easy. It's a big crowd. And I was very moved that Rav Center Shlita from the Center's Yeshiva Center, the Yeshiva Aderes Atayra is the Yeshiva in Yerushalayim, and the Yeshiva was away. They were on a trip for some incentive program that he has. And I was very moved how gracious he was that he hosted us. He gave us his building, so we davened in his base medrash. He allowed us the minyanim ayurs. We're a very big chevra, and people come into your base medrash, and he graciously gave the base medrash daven Friday night, Leil Shabbos, Shabbos morning, Shabbos mincha. The base medrash is yours. He gave us beds in the yeshiva, dozens and dozens of beds. Take the dormitory. And I was very, very moved how a yeshiva cared for another yeshiva. I've told the Chevra this story that somebody once told Rav Wolbe that their Rosh Yeshiva has amazing Avas HaTorah. They were nishtaimim. So Rav Wolbe said, what happened? That you say your Rosh Yeshiva has so much Avas HaTorah? So the guy said that we were in the middle of learning, and our Rosh Yeshiva came in and saw us learning, and he started dancing. Amazing Avas HaTorah. So Rav Wolbe said to the person, not cynically, truthfully, that I'm so impressed your Rosh Yeshiva started dancing. That's beautiful. And he's celebrating his Talmidim. But he said, don't call that Avas HaTorah. That's a love of his Talmidim, a geschmack for his accomplishments. He said if he saw a different yeshiva learning and he started dancing, that's Avas HaTorah. It's Rav Wolbe commented. And I was very moved that here's a Rosh Yeshiva who went out of his way with nothing in return to do chesed and to help another yeshiva's steiging and growth. I was very, very nisragish from it. It was like something important to me that I experienced early on in our trip, that one yeshiva, going out of its way to help another yeshiva, I was very moved. Came Shabbos, and I told guys about how I was moved. You see, obviously in life we always see Ashkachas Hashem. Eretz Yisrael is an Eretz Asher Eini Hashem Leikecha Tamid Ba. I was nishtaimim from this kindness of one yeshiva to another yeshiva. Comes Leil Shabbos Friday night, and Rav Glustein Shlita, one of the Rosh Yeshivas of the Mir, Rav Glustein, the Tzaddik, he gets up and he speaks beautifully. And he said over at his speech that there's a Messiah in yeshivas, that yeshivas help one another. And he went on to describe with details, it was very geschmack, mamish like a historian with the exact dates. He went on to describe how the Mir, and he wasn't extolling his own yeshiva. I don't even think he said the word the Mir yeshiva. He wasn't coming to say our yeshiva started it. He didn't. I don't even know if he used the word the Mir yeshiva. He said Rav Lezer Yudel, together with others, decided that there should be a yeshiva in Brisk. And he said Rav Lezer Yudel not only sent Bachram to learn by the Brisker Rav, he said the dates. What the dates? Menachem, not only did Reb Lezer Yudel send Bachram to learn by the Brisker Rav, he paid them. He paid them and paid for them to learn there. And he said the dates, some of the names, and he wasn't even saying like Mir, we started Brisk. I don't even know if he said the word Mir, I noticed. I don't know if the average guy there knew that Reb Lezer Yudel was the Rosh Hashiva of Mir. He said the Messiah was yeshivas always help one another. He said that when Rav Aaron was starting Lakewood, the Rosh Hashiva, Rav Shraga Feivel, and he said dates as well. Rav Shraga Feivel Mendelovich from Tarvadas sent Bachram amongst them Rav El Yisvei. He said other names as well. I believe Reb Simcha, whose son eventually, Reb Shustel's father, Reb Simcha, whose son became the Shiva of Lakewood, Reb Shraga Feivel sent some of the best guys in Tarvadas to learn by Rav Aaron. He said it was so wild, the Zayda. He said, Rav Glustein said Eidos that the board of Tarvadas called Rav Shraga Feivel in to ask him, what are you doing? You're sending away. And he said, Rav Aaron's buying Torah, we have to help Rav Aaron build Torah. He was stark. He was called in by the board. What's going on? You're sending your best. And he said it was a messiah of yeshivas. That yeshivas build Torah. It doesn't my yeshiva, your yeshiva, his yeshiva. It's yeshivas. I was very, very nisragish. I was very moved by that. I tried hard that the Shabbos itself, not to say the word Waterbury. Kimat, there's a yeshiva called Waterbury. I'm not getting to the Rosh Yeshiva for starting such a yeshiva. But I wanted, in feeling Rev Center's kindness to us, in hearing Rev Glustein speak, so there were many Bachram who came for a Suda or two or three, and just a yeshiva Bachar should feel comfortable here. That this Messiah that Rav Glustein said that yeshivas always helped each other. It was about promoting and building Torah, Kavod Torah. And there's a history of yeshivas, the Mir helping Brisk, Tarvadas helping Lakewood. I was very, very nisragish, especially on a Shabbos that we were being helped by another yeshiva with such kindness. I was very, very moved by that. I think I wanted to bring that back to my friends. I think that we live in a world people could get cynical and could be about their own self-interests. We could live in a world stepping on toes, my turf, your turf, his turf. It's so refreshing to see a world that's altruistic, that's lishma, that build Torah, build Hashem's Torah, build Hashem's people, not my turf, your turf. Geschmack with a certain... There's a beauty to it. There's a tremendous, tremendous beauty when people all zusammen, everybody together. I don't want to embarrass Rav Aaron. I've seen Rav Aaron run things in the Yeshiva Ktana, and I'm seeing such a ruach, such a sense. I'm very moved by that, and I wanted to share that with my friends. It's a beautiful thing that's shaykh to be. We live in an age of a lot of PR, a lot of people like putting out their credentials, to see something that's about the mission and about everybody working together, mine, yours, together. Of course we care about our reputation. Of course we want to accomplish all normal human things. But I experienced that it's interesting. I went to Eretz Yisrael and saw such kindness and such, just to call it Lishma. And then Rav Glustein got up on Leil Shabbos and described that yeshivas always function like this. I thought the hashkacha of that, what we were going through, what Rav Glustein shared, that was very, very moving. To me, that was very moving, and I wanted to bring that one tidbit. I have three things, Menachem, I want to share with the Chevra. This is one thing. I think whenever you experience sincerity, it's very moving. And I saw it, Be'enai Ra'isi. So I wanted to bring back such a ruach to the Chevra. I think there's something beautiful about it when people can put aside their own my yeshiva, my shul, my organization, and just say, why can't we put together L'man Hashem? We all share so much. Let's put it together L'man Hashem and not focus my yeshiva, your yeshivas. Let's put aside my shul, your shul. Batei Knessia is to daven for Hashem. We're one people with one ideal, with one mission, and when we could unite and come past terms and stepping on toes, we could be larger than that. I'm very moved by that. And I wanted to share that Kiddush Shamayim as tidbit number 1. The second thing that I wanted to share, this was very important to me in many areas of our own lives. I spent the Shabbos together, and there were many, many chevra, guys were Talmidei Chachamim, B'nai Torah, Koil Yungalite, and all different types of heroes, guys doing very well, and guys spent and graduated from the yeshiva. Amidst all the people there, there was a guy in the crowd. There's one I'm thinking about him. There were others of this sug, but one guy was in yeshiva a very brief time. I remember somebody brought him. I remember an old alumnus brought him to yeshiva, this bacher, and he was in yeshiva for a blink mamish. He was there very, very short. He was there a little bit, and it was like, obviously you can imagine the one who brought him with high hopes. I remember, I have a visual in my brain of the guy bringing him, and the one brought him with very high hopes, and brought him to yeshiva, hoping this place will light a flame and it will be matzliach. And he was in yeshiva for barely a blink, and he left very, very short. Now, Lemaisa, the guy joined the Shabbos. We had this glorious Shabbos together, and he sat there plugged in and involved as one of the yeshiva guys. And he expressed that the yeshiva helped him a lot. And I knew it. I can't prove it to people. He was there very short, and to external eyes, it didn't work. It didn't work, and he left. Okay, shucks. There's a world inside of us. Never be mimayit a little. You know, there's like an expression of Chazal, there's no tfilas reikam, there's no prayer that's for naught. Never undervalue a little ruchnius. Never undervalue a good confrontation, you have a good conversation with somebody, a gishmak shalom aleichem, a good day, a good month. I have seen it. I can't prove it to people. I have seen a guy be a kabar beirav dechad yoyim. The Gemara speaks about somebody who was in the yeshiva for one day. I have seen people leave yeshiva being there very short, and to external eyes it looks like he wasn't successful. And I'm not coming to speak about any particular yeshiva. That wouldn't be relevant here. What's relevant here is not to undersell and undervalue a spiritual, ruchnistic experience. I've said over the word about Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma from the Panovich Rav. The Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma goes into the Beis Hamikdash to steal a keli and keep it. The Romans said any yid could take a keli and keep it. He steals the menorah of this Yosef ben Kisma. This rebellious Jew steals a menorah from the Beis Hamikdash. He's holding at a very low place. He runs out with the menorah, and the Romans take away the menorah from him. And they take away the menorah, and they tell him, you can't keep this. But they want him to go back and desecrate the Beis Mashiach. And they say, go back in and take a different keli. He says, Vaili shechasti l'boyer pamachas. I angered Hashem once. I'm not doing it a second time. He refuses to go in. They were very upset. They want the yid to be mevayish. They want the yid to rebel. They said, we'll give you a year's taxes. I'm not going. 2 years, 3 years, you have billions of dollars. I'm not going in. So they kill him. And I'm not the Kiddush Shamayim. So the Panovich Rav asked, a second ago, he's the most rebellious yid. And a second later, he becomes Azat Tzaddik. He doesn't want to anger Hashem. He gives up his life not to be rebellious. What changed? And famously, the Panovich Rav said, because he went into the Beis Hamikdash. The only thing we're told in the story is he went to steal, but first he entered the Beis Hamikdash. That changed him. Somebody told me over Shabbos. Somebody told me this Chazal, and somebody else said it's a different version than the Panovich Rav. Somebody told me that he was holding on to the menorah, and the Romans were trying to take it from him, and he didn't want to part from the menorah. And that changed the Yid. The Romans tried to take the menorah from his hands, and he didn't want to let go. Whether you say it was being in the Beis Hamikdash, whether you would say he was holding on to the menorah, but the power of a davar ruchni, The power of something ruchnius, of connecting to the Dvar Hashem. Never underestimate. And I've seen this times, I usually can't prove it. Normally, I'd say to somebody I had an experience and went, my son asked me, Mamish today, he was in New York last night, he had to be in New York again tonight. And he asked, should I come back to yeshiva just for one day? You come back for 1 minute in yeshiva. It's not hero ball, it's not avadi. You drive back if you're in yeshiva for 5 minutes. So you sit down. You can't put a worth on ruchnius. A guy sits in the yeshiva with sincerity for a day, for 5 days. You can't underestimate what that does. Ruchnius, sincerity, something important. Never underestimate ruchnius. And I have seen this, a guy comes to yeshiva and people love him, and a Rebbe smiles and teaches him something, and it looks like it wasn't chal. It looks like don't judge quickly. The cheshivas, we've spoken here about the cheshivas of a mitzvah, of one ma'aseh mitzvah. In our own lives, valuing the little, we judge in our own selves. Did it have a reishim? Am I changed? A guy lights the menorah once, a big zach. You light the menorah one time. We should know ourselves the value of one dvar ruchni. So to me, just watching this one amongst the throngs, there's tons of people, we're all together. You had one guy there who was as plugged in as everybody else. And he had been in yeshiva for like 5 minutes. I was moved by him. I couldn't take my eyes off him. He got extra hugs this Shabbos. I was very zoned in on him because I felt it emphasized this point, the beauty and value of yeshiva, the beauty and value of plugging into the Dvar Hashem. There's no such thing as little, as just a little bit. There's a beauty a person plugs in. I have seen yeshiva, people around yeshiva for all different reasons. A guy's in yeshiva, it makes a reishim. We judge too fast. Did it work? Did it have an effect? The person went in for a minyan. These are long-lasting things. Long ava and sincerity and warmth is long-lasting. And that's the second message I wanted to pass. The picture, amidst all the B'nai Torah gathered, a guy was in yeshiva for like a few minutes, and he was with the chaver the same. This Shabbos, he was like plugged in. I picture a world. I've told the Chaver the story with Rav Aaron Kotler. Rav Aaron running away from a country, put on tefillin. He risked his life for his own tefillin. And Rav Aaron Kotler put tefillin on somebody. The person who was, I'll say over the Maisa. Stop being the kids, I'll say over the Maisa. Rav Aaron had ran over some border to get out. And he forgot his tefillin and decided, a chiddush, to give up, to risk his life to get his tefillin. Which means he had to cross over back into the other country, one danger, and back out. So twice he risked his life for these tefillin. He goes back into the country to the threat of his life, gets his tefillin. And then before he goes back out, he has to wait, l'chaven es asha, to lead the right time. And it's early in the morning. He's being hosted by what he thinks is a Goyish farmer, who turns out to be a Yid. Some farmers hosting Rav Aaron, who he had a house by the border. He's hiding. He's paid money to host these smugglers who are going to pass Rav Aaron over the border. And Rav Aaron, early in the morning, puts on the tefillin that he just risked his life to get. And the guy started crying. The guy said, my Zayd, to put on tefillin. The guy was a Yid. He never put on tefillin in his life. Rav Aaron gave him the tefillin, and the house he was in put on the tefillin. The Yid put on tefillin, and Rav Aaron then ran across the border. Many years later, Rav Aaron was Rosh Hashiva in Lakewood. That guy came to Rav Aaron in a dream and said, they let me come in Shemayim to thank you. I'm in places. I'm not a karkafta d'loy manach tefillin. I'm not a person who didn't put on tefillin because of you. And they let me come down to give you a shekayach. I'm in places in Olam Haba from that one time putting on tefillin. It's a big zach. A Yid put on tefillin. A Yid had an experience of ruchnis, a big zach. I think at times we ourselves underestimate. It's funny, people ask always, like a common question in yeshiva is, what should I learn with the guy that will impact the guy? What sefer does it? They want to any sefer, anything, into uksin, mikvahs, baba kama, anything, learn something else with the Yid. Learn something, open up. It's funny, a group of Bachrim had asked me a shayla yesterday about a tattoo. And I decided, so we learned a little bit about tattoos. They were like nishtaimim. Somebody told me hours later by night seder, the chevra had a whole handle rai about tattoos. We learned ernst ksoives kak. I've always been curious, and a couple of bachrim were going through some nisayim. They were going through a taiva to have a tattoo. So they asked me about tattoos. I said, let's go learn. And we sat down, we learned. I have a chiddush in tattoos. I'm not coming to speak about tattoos now. I'm coming to speak about learning Torah. So we sat down. I have a chiddush. I never told you this chiddush of Shraga Feivel. I have a chiddush. The guy asked me tattoos. So I said, I've always been curious why it's us, or what the taiv is to have it, and why it's us. I've been curious, this ksayves kaka, the Torah asers. So I said, maybe, I have something of maybe, and I found the Sifornu maybe says it if Reb Shraga Feivel's maskim. I wanted to tiny that the only mark on our body is the bris. Any other mark is mimayid in the bris. What do you hold of that, Yehuda Tzvi? We have a bris. We have an ice on our body. We have a tattoo, a bris. The only tattoo allowed is the mark that says, I said a guy has on, I told this guy on his body, I love you, mommy. Then he has some player, it would take away from mom if he also has this player, but he also likes LeBron. It's not nice, just mama. We have just Hashem, the bris. So I have a diak in the Sifornu, on the Isser Ksayves Kaka, this I said on my own. The Sifornu says, don't have any other mark on your body except for the bris. What? Why? Maybe that's what the Sifornu means, Yechiel. Don't have any other mark on your body besides the bris milah. What do you put in bris? He means this. He's saying the Tama Isser, maybe. To look at the Sifornu in Vayikra, check it out. I never told you this chiddush. Maybe that's what he's saying. Kenzain. When we were studying the sugya, I found more of a contemporary together who says that a human being is always changing. It's forever changing. And a mark on your body is like stagnation. This is what you hold. Today, I love the Mets. Maybe tomorrow you'll be a Yankee fan. A human being's evolving and changing. We don't put permanent things. I like that a lot. Nothing. We were looking around. We were studying the sugya. You could learn anything. A person sits and learns. The Roshim. Open something with sincerity and learn. There's a Roshim. The power of a little amount was very, very powerful to me. To see this whole Shabbos of guys who were in the Beis Medrash for years, and then to see in the middle of the gathering somebody who was there for a few minutes. For a couple of minutes he was there, and I picture Olam Haba, a similar place like that. The things that we thought like bounced off, that we thought, something eternal. Once you attach eternity to anything, there's no small. So Davar Rochnius, there's no small in that. There's no such thing as small in that. A few minutes, a little amount is a lot. We have studied together the Maisa with the Stipler, and I've told you what Rebbe Ron taught the world. Many yeshiva guys tried the Stipler trick. I don't know if I'm sure many of you have tried a Stipler, and it never works if you don't really understand it. The famous story of the Stipler Goin, that the Stipler Goin was that he was on guard in Russia, and he was supposed to guard, let's say, from 12 at night till 7 in the morning. But I'm making up the time in Siberia. And he came 12:03. Any story with somebody arriving late, I already like the story. The Stipler came late to the guarding. He came, let's say, 12:03, and the guy before him hung up the coat on Shabbos Kodesh. It was hung on a tree. Now we know it's an Issa D'Rabbanan, he can't take the coat off the tree. But it's in Siberia, it's a threat of, Rahman al-Itzlan, he could get, from cold, he could be nifter. So he Batsim could take the coat off. But famously, the Stipler went the whole night not wearing the coat. And he famously went 5 minutes at a time. So every yeshiva guy, Menachem, I remember one year Shavuos, I hadn't slept the night before much. And I decided I'm going to Stipler it. 5 minutes, and it never works. It never works to Stipler it, never. And I'm just too smart. I'm not stupid enough for the trick to work. Like 5 minutes, Kalish, I know what you're doing. I know the story. It never works. It's really the real story of the Stipler to teach our children. It's a wrong story. People trick like a trick. The real story is the Stipler said, 1 minute I won't wear the coat. I'm going to wear it in a minute. 1 minute I won't wear the coat. What a kiddush shamayim. That I can listen to the Rabban. In a minute I'll put it on. You can end your story with your kids and he put it on a minute later. That's the real story. The real story is that he didn't put up a minute. The story is not the geschmack trick that kept him through the night. You're teaching the wrong. You taught your kids more the real story. If you teach in Siberia, the Stipler held for 1 minute. What a kiddush shamayim. Somebody's battling a Yetzer Hara. They'll always tell you the story, I lost. For a minute, you were Mekadesh Shem Shemayim. For a minute, you didn't do something, L'man Hashem. The whole world, you caused a tremendous Kiddush Shemayim. The story of the Stipler is for a minute, he didn't wear it. If you care about the rest of the story, I'll tell it to you. But really, if you want to tell your kids, if I was really doing the Stipler, I would have learned for 5 minutes and gone to sleep. That's the story of the Stipler. Learn for 5 minutes, that's what he was saying. Big people value very little things. That's why they're big. The little zach is eternity. Learning for 5 minutes, and then sleep for the night. You did the Stipler. If you want to know the rest of the story, is the Stipler for a minute didn't wear the coat. Then for an hour there was no Nisayan. He was like dancing in the Siberian night. There's no Nisayan. He's not even getting schar for that. He was just singing. He'll get schar for how much celebrating. He then for an hour celebrated like nuts, not wearing the coat. Such a kiddush shamayim. Then he was so excited by that first minute, after the hour of dancing and singing and the freilich that he said, let's do it another minute. It was such a good minute. So he did another minute. And there's a whole good story on that minute. Then he danced for 2 hours. By then, 2 hours, I don't know, gets schar or not. He gets schar for the celebration. For 2 hours. The story is nothing to do with tricking to go all night. It's not any trick. It's the value of a little. That's the story. So if you want to imitate the Stipler, what you say to yourself, what you do is learn for 5 minutes and go to sleep. You did the Stipler. He wasn't making any joke. He just valued a little. Now, you might be very ecstatic of those 5 minutes and not be able to sleep. Okay, so then you'll stay up. You're an Einus, a good story. But the Iker Vard of being the Stipler is the value of a little. I experienced, when I saw a guy in yeshiva so short, and yet he was so nena, and he was so part of things, and felt part of things, and felt he belonged rightfully, much smarter than everybody else. He had to come, excuse himself, tell me, Rabbi, I'm telling you, it was a big Rishon. I knew. He was apologize. I'm telling you, it made a big Rishon. I know, of course. You were there 5 minutes, and you left after 5 minutes, of course. The guy's there 5 more years, and you makes a bigger Rishon. It's a big Rishon, 5 minutes. You in yeshiva, somebody learned with you, you got warmth, you were loved. 6 minutes, you left to other people. Oh, it didn't work. Hashem, you don't know anything. There's stuff going on inside. He was there for a good 5 minutes, and he got ava. He saw, experienced sincerity. Of course, it's a Rishon. I know that. I want to share that scene with my friends that left the Rosh Hashanah. Amidst this gathering, he was sitting there, was the story of the 5 minutes. I think in our own lives, probably, maybe the most important thing in our own Avodas Hashem is knowing this. See, stuck out in the crowd, he to me was the 1 minute story. That's what I saw in this guy sitting in the crowd. He said, you probably don't remember me. I told him who brought him to yeshiva. I remember where we met. He looked, you probably don't remember me. I was like a failure. B'chlal not true. B'chlal not true. Could be I made the yeshiva just for that guy. Could be. It's not true. We have a very narrow and shallow and superficial. If he graduates our program and afterwards looks and we could show the world, look, he's now learning in the mirror. That's geschmack. It's fun to show others. That's geschmack. Ruchnius is powerful. Learn a Mishnah with the guy. It's a big effect. It's a big effect. Rav Aaron, this Yid put tefillin on once. Of course, not a chiddush that he came to him years later in a dream and told Rav Aaron that his whole eternity is impacted. He put on tefillin. We have to get out of our smallness and our little, our very limited view. We have to come out of it. So seeing him, I saw the Stipler's 1 minute. I wanted to share the Stipler's 1 minute. Point number 3, I will close with this tonight. Point number three. Point number three is very, very important to me. Somebody got up, it's become a shtickle minhag at this Shabbos, and I want to speak it out with my friends. A little bit Ravarin, I'm preaching to the choir, but I need to speak this out. I need to chazah this in the trip to Eretz Yisrael. There was a guy on the Shabbos who's a Yid, who's a tremendous Talmud Chacham, one of the really budding Talmidei Chacham in the world. Talmud Chacham, no guzma, Talmud Chacham muflag. Paiskim, he's learning with the Gedolei Adar. He's learning with the Gedolei Adar Mamish, Razriel Orbach he learns with. He's learning with the very big Gedolim of today. And he's a Talmud Chacham. We were Zeicha, he learned in our basement, he learned by us, he learned in whatever. He's a tremendous guy in Talmud Chacham. He was on the Shabbos, and he said publicly that somebody asked him, how could you be on the same Shabbos? You and a guy struggling epis to try to keep his third Shabbos in a row. And you're both on the same Shabbos? That we live in an age of specialization. We're like today in baseball, there's like a ninth inning guy, an eighth inning. We're like everybody like. So we live in an age. There's this type of yeshiva, that like nobody should mix ches v'shalom. We live in an age like that specialization. Here you have a Shabbos. There's a goyin b'Torah, Talmud Chacham of incredible Talmud Chacham, and together, and somebody asked him, how are you on the same Shabbos? Like, how does the same Shabbos talk to you both? Somebody asked him. And I want to share with my friends that in a world of superficial, in a world of insecurity, I can't be with him. In a world of bikush ha'emes, we're much more similar than different. More people could be in that room when there's bikush ha'emes. When it's about sincerity, honest service of Hashem, when it's in that place of honest service of Hashem, this guy got up and described him and his wife hosted somebody for a Shabbos Suda. He hosted somebody for a Shabbos Suda. And he described the Bachar struggling. Anybody would see it as this power couple, Talmud Chacham Muflig, Shas, Paiskim, Be'iyun Rab, Rishonim Achronim, is Be'iyun Rab, being a Marbitz Torah to many, writing Chedushay Torah on all of Shas. And you'd see the troubled guy, like, okay, the tzaddik's being nice. He said after the Bachar left, him and his wife, they felt small. They said they were neshtaimim, and he himself, when he described being on the Shabbos, he said, we don't know, big, small, we don't know people's nisyanis. We don't know a lot. He said, be mevakish to emes and grow and add, encourage the next guy to grow and add. My picture of a Rebbe's Tish, I have two pictures where everybody's there, young and old, a Rebbe's Tish and a Beis Knesses. My background, my mother is a Yekka, grew up in Washington Heights. I have davening, whoever's davening in Washington Heights, they have a choir by davening. At that choir, there's old men and youngsters, rich and poor, fancy and simple. Everybody stands there, you're all the same. You're on the choir, you're singing to Hashem. In the world of singing to Hashem, my picture of a Beis Knesses, a shul as everybody, that's what a shul is. A shul is a group of people surrounding Hashem. My picture of a shul is the Yekisha choir, is the Talmud Chacham with the simpleton, with the... We don't know. We're all Lifnei Hashem. Show me, he's big, he's small. We're Lifnei Hashem. We're all trying to be sincere and authentic and grow. In that world of sincerity, and there's a tremendous security, I don't feel so different than him. The Rebbe's Tish and the Yekisha choir are both beautiful. At the Rebbe's Tish, you have the older, the Alter Chassidim, with the young guns, with the young guys and the young chevra, and they all sit there, al zazamen. When there's sincerity and bikush of Hashem, there's much more, people come together, much more, insecurities are dropped. There's less of a sense, I'm bigger, I'm closer. Who lifnei Hashem? I'm close, he's far. Who's the arrogant? Show me who you are. Introduce yourself. I'm the close one to Hashem. He's like the Rachaik and the Karev. Who's the guy? Stand up, introduce yourself. I'm Karev. I want to help the... You cut it. We're all, the Rebbeinu Shalom, we're all banim l'Hashem. And we're all striving for Kirvus Hashem. We're all trying to be Krovim. We're all I'm Krovai. I'm Krovai, you're Am Krovai, and so is he. Does anybody want to claim they're the closer one? In a world of sincerity, for anybody who knows the world of Peshischa, that world, there was a fire for emes, and there they didn't hold of titles. There was no such thing. If you dared say, I'm the close one, like you're what? Who are you? We're all Yidden, a precious nation of sincere people, each on our journey trying to get close to Hashem. I want to promote, I'm preaching to the choir, but any revolution you have to start amongst your closest friends. I just want to say that I know their forces of Adam Nimshachach Asvivaisav. I know these things. I want to promote, and there's a famous video out there, people speaking to Reb Steinman. I want to promote a unity of a Yid, encourage the next Yid and the third Yid. See that we're the same, we're alike, we're Mevakesh Hashem, and promote more coming together than separating and elitism. A Yid, pull in the Yid and include the Yid. I appreciate it a lot, and I came back to my friends to share. This Talmud Chacham was around Shabbos and schmoozing to people. The Malbim speaks out, there's Sidkus and there's Yishrei Leiv. Urza Ruah Latzadik, Yishrei Leiv Simcha. There's Madregas of Avodas Hashem. When you're working on something and it's difficult, that's called Sidkus. You're overcoming, you're trying. About Shuvah's keeping Shabbos is Sidkus. Later on, they're like naturally flowing with Shabbos. That's Yishrei Leiv. You've been Miyashi your heart. Tzidkus is to say a Dvar Torah at your Shabbos table. It's amazing. Quiet down, everybody. Say, family, Daddy's going to say a nice Torah thought now. And you say a Vart about Tzidkus. It's beautiful. Yishrei Leiv is when the conversation of Ada Torah flows. It's who you are. It's like, it's natural, it's flowing. You don't have to okay, Torah, that's beautiful. Tzidkus, be a tzaddik. First be a tzaddik. Quiet the family down and say your Dvar Torah. That's Tzidkus. Yishrei Leiv is when it's flowing from you. Of course, we're talking at the table. I'm the Divrei Torah. That's what happens. That's Yishrei Leiv. It's a step higher than Tzidkus. I saw a behavior. The first tzaddik is to be nice to other Yid, and that's Tzidkus. So Tzidkus, Azat Tzidkus, he's nice. Even though he's a big Talmud Chacham, he still finds it in him to be nice to other Yid. There's a higher madregel, Yishrei Leiv Simcha. When you're Miyashi your heart, and I saw Shabbos, that Tzazamen together was the Talmud Chacham with the person struggling. They were Tzazamen. You know why they were together? How could you have one Shabbos? When you're Lufnei HaMelech, when you're in front of Hashem and there's sincerity, you don't have to be insecure. Could I be with him? I'm with it. Stop. Let's both serve Hashem. Let's sing a nigun to Hashem. Let's learn Hashem's Torah. When with sincerity we're Lufnei Hashem, I think when you minus a lot of insecurities, you find much more in common. It can actually be nishtoimim from the other's sincerity, and each one's nishtoimim from the other. All of a sudden, we could be with more people. All of a sudden, the Beis Medrash, the Beis Knesses, the community automatically becomes more inclusive. It's a place we're trying to serve Hashem. So the difference is, I'm not so worried. What's this one going to say? I'm with this one. How's it going to play out with Shidduch? It falls away with Mevakesh Hashem. In the world of sincerity, more people are brought in. There's more people aligned. There's more people that are involved in the world of sincerity. Those three scenes I wanted to bring back to the Chevra. So I'm going to repeat the three scenes, and this I owe you. I missed the week. We'll get back next Shabbos Kodesh. We have to learn Ve'era. Maybe we'll have to learn Shmais and Ve'era. But I felt three scenes to bring back to my friends. Scene number one is a yeshiva giving its yeshiva for another yeshiva. I was very moved. The Waterbury Yeshiva was in Aderes HaTorah for Shabbos. I was very moved. To put down our own organization and help the next one. To help raise funds for another yeshiva. To send Bachram. And Rav Glustein spoke that the Messiah of yeshivas was helping another. The Mir started Brisk. Tarvidas started Lakewood. One yeshiva helping another. Put aside our own cause to help another cause. And our own cause is important. but it's one. It's no stepping on toes. The idealism, the lishma. The Rav Volba said the Rosh Yeshiva as Abbas HaTorah, he dances at another yeshiva's learning. So I thought I wanted to share that with the Chevra. Was one, I wanted to share the picture amidst the masses of guys who sat for years in the yeshiva was the guy who sat for a blink in yeshiva. And I saw in that the value of a little. Don't underestimate a little learning, a kurz dvar Torah, a little. Going to the Beis Knesset for a mincha. Don't underestimate a little in Ruchnius. The story of the Stiplers, the story of the value of 1 minute of the Dvar Hashem is gorgeous. It's very, very valuable. My Rebbe wrote about his Rebbe Rav Aaron, and he said like a very small story about Rav Aaron with cookies, and he got a hate letter. He got a letter he saved Arayay Mazeh. Somebody ripped my Rebbe here, the giant Rav Aaron, and he writes just a small story. And he explained to us that the giants, he was zeicher to be close to Rav Aaron, is because they value the small story. The one bracha, make a nice mezainis. We have to celebrate. A bacher mamish this week told me, he said, I think I'm being matzlich. He told me about a friend of his who's struggling. He said he doesn't celebrate enough small things. He said, I very much get excited. This guy's steiging today. He said, my path is I celebrate small zachen. A friend of mine was going into chinuch, and he said, give me one eitzah. You've been teaching for a while. I said, if somebody has atzlacha mamish, they learned the Mishnah, go mishuggah. Not as a trick, it's just true. How can you underestimate what ruchni is? Because it's true, not a trick. I remember the guy said, I'm shooting for bigger things. I'm still waiting for anything. The biggest zach, it's not valuing a little bit. One zach is the world. So that picture at the Shabbos of the guy who was there for a blink was very moving to me. That was the second thing. And the third thing is the unity. The sitting together comfortably. A guy, a Shasi, a Talmud Chacham, a guy sitting in Kollel for years, sitting side by side, but with zero inhibition, with no... They weren't being frum and being tolerant. Mamish with a tremendous chevreshaft, seeing a guy who's mamish frum in the army, he was in army gear, and he was arm in arm next to him with the Talmud Chacham Muflig, and they just with Ava Beineim. And a sense of we're both Avdei Hashem fighting our battles and appreciating each other and with tremendous chevreshaft. I wanted to share that picture with them because I think in the world of Lifnei Hashem, there's a lot of security there, in a world of sincerity and a lot of chitzonistic things that perhaps have their root in insecurities fall away. So I wanted to share that scene. We should all be zeicha. All of us should have the siyata d'shmaya. We should all be zeicha to see this unity of Klal Yisrael. Every yid pulled in. We should celebrate a little bit of ruchnius. There's no little when you attach ruchnius. Attached to eternity is endless zeros. There's no small number when you attach endless zeros to it. All of us should have the siyata d'shmaya. All of us to tap into ruchnius. That's eternal. Ruchnius together with a tremendous, tremendous unity, one with the other. A guten Shabbos, Kodesh.